Manx Radio's Update with Beth Espy.
Fastamai, good evening. It's just gone 5 on Monday, so time for a rundown of what's been happening on the Isle of Man today. Coming up in the next half hour, playground drama in Peel as concerns are raised about the potential removal of a park in one of the housing estates. We'll look ahead to tonight's airfield meeting in Derby. Also, in what might be a turn-up for the books, could the Henry Bloom Noble Library soon be renamed? And we'll hear from the Royal Manx Agricultural Show Supreme Champion, or perhaps more accurately, the person who showed her. All that, and of course, we'll keep you up to date with anything happening on the roads as you head home. And if you spot anything when you're out and about, 166 177, or you can email studio@manxradio.com. First, let's join Siobhan for the latest news headlines.
The family of Nesta Hazelden, who was killed near Peel last week, have said they're so grateful for all the support they've had since his death. The 21-year-old died in a car crash near QE2 High School on Wednesday. An online fundraiser has raised almost £9,000 for his family. The mountain road's going to be closed for the next 3 evenings. It's so the Department of Infrastructure can finish the verge cutting it started last week. It'll be closed between Ramsey and the Cregna Bar between 6:30 and 10:30pm. Further afield, a security guard says he heard a scream before tackling and disarming a knifeman in Leicester Square in central London earlier. An 11-year-old and 34-year-old woman were stabbed, but the girl's condition isn't thought to be life-threatening. A man's been arrested. Britain's most successful diver, Tom Daley, has announced he's retiring from the sport. He picked up his 5th Olympic medal at the Paris Games, a silver in the 10 metres synchro. And Banksy's done another animal-themed artwork on the streets of London. The new piece, a rhino climbing on top of a car, has appeared in Charlton. They're your headlines. News at 6.
Thanks very much, Siobhan. Now the weather brought to you by Manx Glass and Glazing. So this evening it's going to stay fine, but tonight those skies will gradually turn cloudy as the southerly winds increase fresh to strong. Minimum overnight temperatures around 13 Celsius, so a little bit cooler than it was last night. Tomorrow, it's going to start wet and windy, outbreaks of rain and drizzle for much of the morning and strong southerly winds as well. But that rain will soon clear in the afternoon. There will be sunny intervals developing and the winds will turn westerly and ease. Temperatures rising to around 20 Celsius in the brighter skies later tomorrow. And on Wednesday, a fine day, lengthy spells of sunshine and light winds. Sunset this evening will be at 8:54. Sunrise tomorrow morning, 5:53.
Manx Glass and Glazing don't just do the big jobs. It's easy to repair broken greenhouse glass at Manx Glass and Glazing. For greenhouse glass cut to size, call 674 573.
Many people are struggling. You could help them with a donation to Isle of Man Food Bank, whether food or other essential items or financial support. Please call 646 999. Brought to you by Descon Office Interiors.
Relax at Wicked Soy Candles overlooking Douglas Bay. Our candle and wax melt courses includes refreshments from £40 per person, and you can bring your own drinkies. Wicked Soy Candles, Tower House Douglas, where relaxation and creativity come together.
For a wide range of wood-burning stoves and a complete installation service, visit The Snug in Ramsey. And we don't stop there. Kiln-dried firewood and full aftercare service, including chimney sweeps and maintenance. Call The Snug in Ramsey.
A great night's sleep got even better with Zed's Bedding Store. From quality Beldorm bed linen and mattress protectors, fleece and woven throws to luxury duvets from the fine bedding company. Zed's Bedding Ramsey, next to Isle of Man Bank.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
It's coming up to 4.5 minutes past 5. So there has been some confusion and uncertainty over the weekend about the potential removal of a children's playground in Peel. Residents in the Riatnacronk housing estate say the park is being removed and allegedly replaced with a picnic area. Parent Caitlin Dancox lives in the area.
So I live in one of the housing estates in Peel, and in a little cul-de-sac. And in our cul-de-sac there's a park, like a play area. Granted, albeit it's not much, it is used by like a dozen kids every single day, including my 3 children. We actually found out about it through word of mouth, and it so happens to be that one of the other mothers knows one of the commissioners, and the commissioner had messaged them and told them about it. And then they then told their children, who told our children. I was like, well, I'm so sorry, what's going on here? So I phoned the commissioners on Friday to ask them straight if that is what was happening, if the park was being taken apart and ripped out. And they denied all knowledge. And I was like, oh, that's really strange, because I've heard from other people that this is happening. So that was the end of it. And then yesterday, I got a message from one of the other mothers stating that their kids were making some Save Our Park signs, because that they'd had on good authority from one of the commissioners that actually this is happening. There has been no notice, there's been no consultation, there has been nothing with regards to talking about it being an even possibility of a decision being made on this, and no consideration to any of the children or any of the parents or any of the homeowners in the community with regards to this.
That is Caitlin Dancox, who's really concerned about the removal of that children's playground in Peel that she's heard about. You'll hear much more from Caitlin on Breakfast tomorrow, but we did ask Peel commissioners for comment, and they've given us the following statement. They say the Close Keig playground requires major works. A particular concern is the condition of the artificial turf flooring, which requires rebuilding. The commissioners, they say, continue to evaluate their options for playground provision in this neighbourhood location. No date for works at this playground has been set, and the commissioners welcome any representations they receive from local residents who use this facility during this evaluation. They go on to say the commissioners have contacted residents who have contacted them over the weekend to advise them their views will be taken into consideration as part of this evaluation. As I say, much more on this story in Breakfast tomorrow morning. It's coming up to 7.5 minutes past 5. Now, more than £9,000 could be spent on changing the name of the Henry Bloom Noble Library in Douglas. The council, we understand, is considering rebranding it as Douglas City Library. Councillors are going to discuss the proposal in their meeting this Wednesday. But it isn't an idea that's found favour with everyone. Howard contacted the Man in Line today to share his thoughts.
What a load of rubbish. These people they're so far, they've got their heads up their own orifices that they can't even see the light. There's the Regeneration and Community Committee that's suggesting this. They're proposing to spend anywhere between £7,500 and £9,000 plus just to change the name from the Henry Bloom Noble Library to the Douglas City Library. Now, what a farcical idea that is. They've come up with, I don't know, there must be somebody there in Cuckoo Land. I'd love to know what they're smoking. But Henry Bloom Noble was a benefactor not only to Douglas but to the whole of the island. The original Noble's Hospital, that was by his wife and himself. That was what's now the museum up there, top of Crellins Hill. The land that was donated there belonged to them. Noble's Park. Now this is one. Ramsey Cottage Hospital. Knockalo Farm. Of course, the Villa Marina. St Ninian's Church. What is the idea behind this? That they seem to be hell-bent on destroying anything that is part of Douglas.
That was Howard, one of the callers to today's Man in Line, talking about the possible changing of the name of the Henry Bloom Noble Library in Douglas. We will be at that meeting on Wednesday. We have contacted Douglas Council for comment but haven't heard back yet. And just thinking about what Howard was saying there about the importance of Henry Bloom Noble and who he was and his wife, Rebecca Noble. Howard and I do a programme from time to time called Tamagindis, and you can find the podcasts at manxradio.com. And in one of them, in the more recent episodes, we do talk about Henry Bloom Noble and his wife and just what they meant to Douglas. 10 past 5. Let's turn our attention to business, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall. And Bush's Brewery is launching a new beer with a biking theme just in time for Manx Grand Prix. It's in collaboration with the 59 Motorcycle Club, which is a London-based organisation established in 1962 with a long-standing tradition of welcoming all riders on all types and styles of bikes, and who also visit the island regularly for the TT and MGP. So this new beer, it's called the 59 Ton traditional ale. It'll be available at all establishments that stock Bushey's ales, and it's hoped that in time it will be available internationally in cans and bottles to the 59 club's 32,000 members, as well as other bikers around the world. And Dick Bennett from the 59 Club says the members there have been drinking Bushey's beers since they started brewing in the 1980s. It's gone down very well at 59 Club barbecues, he says, and other gatherings on the island, adding they are honoured to be associated with this traditional beer. And Martin Brunchweiler, Bushey's founder, says he first became aware of the 59 Club being born in 1959 when, as a 17-year-old in London, he worked with a couple of friendly members who had admired his 250 BSA Starfire. Well, now the stock market report brought to us by Ramsey Crookall as well. They tell us that US stocks extended the rebound amid easing economic concerns after seeing considerable volatility early in the session. So stocks have moved mostly higher over the course of the trading day. With the advance, the major averages are extending the rebound seen in recent sessions. Gold prices rallied today amidst expectation of an easing in inflation that would goad the Fed to cut interest rates. Safe haven demand amidst the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East also supported those prices. And crude oil prices continued to rise amid simmering geopolitical tensions. Fears of the situation in the Middle East escalating into a wider war eclipsed concerns over demand raised in the OPEC's monthly report. The commodities then, gold currently stands up 1.11% at $2,457. Brent stands up 1.59% at $80.98. At the close, the FTSE 100 was up 0.52% at 8,210. And the latest a short time ago from the Dow Jones, it was trading off 0.12% at 39,450. And the Nasdaq up slightly 0.77% at 16,872.
I'm running late again. Do you know where I put my car keys?
In the fridge.
Where's my phone?
Under the dog basket.
Bye.
You haven't forgotten that we're seeing Ramsey Crookall later?
Oh, no, of course not. 5 p.m, is it?
2:45.
I'll be there.
Life is busy. That's why Ramsey Crookall's team takes time to help you make a mindful investment decision, considering all the options, giving you full control of your financial future. Less stress, more assurance.
Forgot to put my shoes on.
See how we can make your money work for you. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
So the main thing to look out for on the roads this evening is the Mountain Road closure. So it's closing again for the next 3 nights for verge cutting. It'll shut at 6:30 until no later than 10 p.m, as I say, for the next 3 evenings, and that's to complete the maintenance work that was started last week. Of course, as with last week, these closures are weather dependent, so if visibility becomes too poor on any given evening, the road will stay open, and we'll keep you up to date with that. And just note that the Cregna Bar is accessible from Douglas, Onchan and Lonnan directions throughout, but we'll keep you up to date, as I say, if those road closures go ahead as planned for the rest of the week, the next 2 evenings after today. And all okay down at the steam packet and the airport.
Ask how you can spread the cost interest-free at Quayside.
It's coming up to 5:15. It's hoped additions to the planning department are helping with the backlog of registered building applications. 3 new officers were recruited back in May. Registered buildings are those identified as having special architectural or historical interest. Environment, Food and Agriculture Minister Claire Barber has been talking to Amy Griffiths.
In terms of the registered buildings, actually we've got a reasonably good balance. I think it's fair to say, and I would reflect, we've had a period of time where we weren't managing to register them as quickly as we would have liked to, and there were some that had been left, hadn't been formally considered, and that's caused some upset, because sometimes the point at which a registration becomes needed is the point at which it changes hands, and you can then find someone almost coming into a situation that they hadn't accounted for. So I accept that the work that's now ongoing to try and get through that list of buildings that are possibly suitable for registration is a really important piece of work.
So is there enough support then for those people who are wanting to do just that and taking important historical sites which have fallen into a state of disrepair for whatever reason and bringing them up to a usable standard again?
I think when we look at the statistics for the number of registered building applications that are approved, it's exceptionally high. And that's because our registered buildings officers want to work with the owners of those buildings to find solutions, because it's in everyone's interest to find solutions rather than allow those buildings to simply fall into a state of disrepair. In terms of help, and what is interesting is that they're not excluded, to my understanding, from the Island Infrastructure Scheme, for example. So actually, there potentially is an opportunity for someone who had a registered building to explore that as an opportunity. But in terms of a specific scheme, that isn't something that's currently in place. It was felt that actually the scale of the pool of money that would be needed was so significant, it was difficult to argue that that was the priority above everything else. So I accept that there are some longer term probably challenges around how we support people who own registered buildings, but I think trying to do something where we just provide a small pot of money that really doesn't make a material difference is probably not the right way to go about it.
So on the other side of the coin then, people who own these properties of significance, how are they forced to make sure that these properties stay up to a certain standard? And is there any kind of penalisation or fining procedures in place if people are letting these properties fall into disrepair?
So there is a formal process that can be followed through. But it is tricky. I think we want to try and, again, strike that balance of working with people rather than trying to penalise in the first instance. And there are enforcement processes that are available to me. But I would always prefer to work with people rather than going straight into any form of enforcement.
That is Environment Minister Claire Barber. You're listening to Update on Manx Radio. It is coming up to 18 minutes past 5. We've got some news that has broken in the past few minutes, and it's concerning Sir Mark Cavendish. Tessa Hawley, news editor, joins me now. What's happening, Tessa?
Well, there is going to be a homecoming for the Manx Missile this week. So it's been dubbed Lap of Honour Homecoming for the Manx Missile by the Isle of Man government. Now, the event is going to take place on Thursday, the 15th of August at 1 o'clock at the National Sports Centre in Douglas. And it will be the first time that Mark Cavendish has been back to the Isle of Man since he claimed his record-breaking 35th career Tour de France stage win. And everybody is being invited to get involved.
And it's great, really, because this is where Sir Mark Cavendish really started out on his cycling career. We spoke to Dr. Tilbury when his knighthood was announced. He's going to be there then, and the raceway, I understand, is also being renamed.
That is the plan, yes. So what government would like to see is people turn out, basically, and line the NSC raceway. They want a flag-waving roar of appreciation as he completes a lap of honour on the first cycling track that he took to as a child. And the raceway is being renamed as a tribute to him because he has 165 career victories.
So you say, Tessa, this is taking place on Thursday. Any idea of how long it's going to be?
So they say about 30 minutes. So that means anyone who is on their lunch break might be able to pop down as well. The occasion is going to present more of an opportunity for the Department of Education to announce more details of the raceway, obviously being renamed in his honour, as we've said. But they say it's something to celebrate his achievements, and they're going to plan to open it early next year.
And do we know who else might be there?
Yes, we do. Chief Minister Alfred Cannon will be turning out. We're also going to be joined there by His Excellency, the Lieutenant Governor, and very importantly, Dot Tilbury MBE. And she is a familiar name to all of our listeners, but she is the person who started coaching Mark at the age of 9.
And I don't want to mention bad weather, Tessa, but is there any contingency just in case it's not playing ball?
I mean, looking out the window today, you would expect bright sunshine like we're having, but we all know that the Isle of Man weather can be a little temperamental, so there is a bad weather plan. If the weather is bad on the day, the celebration will be moved to Friday the 16th of August, and the decision on that will be made on Wednesday.
Tessa, thank you very much indeed, and shortly you'll be able to find out all those details at manxradio.com. It's just gone 20 past 5. Let's turn our attention to sport now and welcome Darren Timpson. Good evening.
Good evening. Starting with FC Isle of Man, Ravens manager Paul Jones has said he is disappointed that his side were unable to capitalise on the one-man advantage as his side lost 1-0 to 10 men Longridge Town at the weekend. The away team took the lead 7 minutes into the game and held on to secure the victory, which sees Jones's men move down to 14th place in the North West Counties Football League table. However, the Ravens boss says he knows where the side still needs to improve.
I thought the performance was good. The result obviously wasn't. Longridge came, started quite brightly, but, I didn't think they caused us any problems. And then we make a two mistakes really from two experienced players to give them that goal, and then they just kind of shut up shop a little bit really, and did cause a few problems on the counter-attack, but I thought we coped with that really well. And ultimately the performance deserves something, but you don't get everything you deserve in football, so we're not happy with not coming away with at least a point, maybe 3 tonight, but we didn't deserve to either. We weren't clinical off in front of goal and didn't create enough clear chances because we didn't move the ball quickly enough. So I thought there's large elements of the performance I was happy with, but that last little bit of ruthlessness in the final third wasn't really there. And I think if we'd had a little bit more intent and really attacked some of the crosses and really got more bodies in the box, then I think it would have been a different story. But that's football, I guess. I think we controlled their counter-attacks really well. I don't think they caused us too many problems once they decided to sit in and just kind of allow our centre-backs to have the ball. So no, I thought we were reasonably comfortable when they had 11 men, and more so obviously with 10 men. We just didn't have that final bit of quality or creativity or as I say, intent to put the ball in the back of the net. And that on another day we will, and we'll score 6 or 7 goals, but tonight that didn't happen, and that is extremely disappointing. But you can't fault the players for delivering what the performance they did today. I thought it was really good for 96 of the 97 minutes.
Ravens manager Paul Jones. FC Isle of Man are next in action tomorrow night as they take on newly promoted side FC St Helens away from home. Moving on, and the weekend also saw the Altenaar Isle of Man Marathon take place on Sunday. Manx fellow runners athlete Samuel Jones took victory in Ramsey as he completed the event in an impressive time of 2 hours 39 minutes and 3 seconds to finish first in the Ballaclone Stadium, over 13 minutes ahead of second place James Reed. Meanwhile, Molly Whitehall crossed the line in 3 hours 25 minutes and 54 seconds to win the women's category, which also saw the athlete finish 18th overall. Elsewhere in the half marathon, Corin Leeming won the contest for the 3rd year in a row with a time of 1 hour 7 minutes and 11 seconds, whilst Dawn Atherton finished first in the women's category in 1 hour 30 minutes and 6 seconds. Finally, we are less than 1 week away from the Manx Grand Prix, and former MGP race winner and FIM Classic Bike World Champion Glenn English is due to return to the event this month. English, who won the 2000 Classic Senior race, will take part in the two-wheeling Classic Junior Manx Grand Prix on Friday the 23rd of August and will compete on a 350cc Honda K4. He'll also compete in the Carol Nash Classic Senior race on Saturday 24th of August and will ride on a 500cc Manx Norton for the race. The Cornishman won the 2000 Classic Senior Manx Grand Prix and was named FIM World Classic Bike Champion in 2003. Elsewhere, Manx Grand Prix rider Jamie Coward has added the RST Classic Superbike race to his schedule for this year's event. The Yorkshireman will compete in the two-wheeling Classic Junior Manx Grand Prix on the Friday 23rd of August, as well as the Carol Nash Classic Senior Manx Grand Prix on the Saturday 24th of August. That's your sport news this evening.
Thanks very much, Darren. 1724 now. Well, this weekend saw one of the highlights of the rural calendar, the Royal Manx Agricultural Show, taking place at Knockalo in Patrick. Thankfully, the sun shone, visitor numbers were high, and as ever, all eyes were on who would be crowned Supreme Champion, and that announcement came late on Saturday afternoon. Manx Radio's Kiri Kermode spoke to the person who showed the winner, Vicky Sloan-Masson.
A massive congratulations to the whole team. So who have we got here? Tell us all about it.
This is Alianne Apple's Red Rose, and she is a 4th carver. We purchased her from a dispersal sale last year. I went to buy a couple and ended up with 4, but this was my pick out of the catalogue before I even got there. I brought my sister and my dad along with me, and I said that's my pick, but I'm just keeping quiet because I really don't think we can afford her. I started bidding on her and Sandra just said keep going, so we kept going and we ended up with her. She had a lovely heifer calf for us back in December, and hopefully she's going on a flush programme next year, and we'll get some eggs and planted in our own recips.
And what does winning this show mean to you?
I don't really know. I'm just absolutely gobsmacked.
Oh, lovely news for Vicky Sloan-Masson there. And finally, a new charity's been launched hoping to empower young people on the island to pursue their passions and build life skills through sport. It's called Playmaker.im. Its chairperson, Rebecca Dalrymple, explains what they're hoping to achieve.
In a nutshell, we have set this charity up to create opportunities for young people in sport by removing any financial barriers that might be in the way. way. So if we have children and young people in the community that want to play sport at a club level, and we're talking about participation rather than performance, it's just about giving it a go. If we have any of those people in our community where maybe the cost of affiliation or training or kit, equipment, or even travel to the sport is something that's currently preventing them from being able to access it, then that's where we come in.
How important is it that sport can cater for everyone from different walks of life?
Well, we think it's hugely important, and sort of motto that we're using is that we're not just funding sports, that we're investing in futures, because those of us that are involved in the charity, we all have had our own experiences with sport directly and with family and friends, and we all believe that sport plays such an important part in not just the sort of physical health elements, which are sort of quite obvious, I guess, but the mental health benefits, and then also the skills that you learn and how that then transfers into our community setting.
Could you just explain what some of that support might look like?
So it might look like your affiliation fees being paid directly to the club. It could be that your competition fees are paid for. It could be that you want to start a new sport, but the equipment that you need is just too expensive, so we can look at providing that. Or it could be issues around transport to your sport. So it could be that you get a bus pass that's preloaded, or even a taxi service.
That is Playmaker.im chairperson Rebecca Dalrymple, who was talking there to Rob. Well, that's all from Update this evening. Just a reminder of our top news that broke in the past half hour. There will be a Sir Mark Cavendish Lap of Honour and a homecoming for the Manx Missile planned for this Thursday at 1 p.m. at the National Sports Centre. The Sports Centre will also be renamed. The raceway there will be the Sir Mark Cavendish Raceway, a scheme to honour and celebrate Sir Mark's achievements, 165 career victories, and of course this year he claimed that record-breaking 35th career Tour de France stage win. Thank you so much for your company tonight. Coming up next, it's Agenda with Phil Gaughan, then Greatest Hits with Chris Kinley, Time for Brass with Ian Cottier, and then Rianne will be with you from 10 p.m. with After Hours. And as ever, if there's something happening in your area that you'd like to let us know about, newsroom@manxradio.com is the best email address. Breakfast will be back from 6 a.m. with Ben and Sian tomorrow, and we will be back with Update from 5 p.m. Whatever you're doing this evening, have a great one.